Welcome to the audio workshop for May 2010. This is Dr. Mike Bucknell with Maximize Living in South Alabama Chiropractic. We have something special for you this month. Last month we did weight loss and detoxification and kind of kept that off with the Maximize Living makeover. And as part of that makeover process, we did a shopping day here recently at the local Target store. And so after about an hour and a half to 2 hour shopping day, these patients that had the chance to get out to the shopping day just had their brains completely full of information, and I've just gotten amazing feedback from them on going and changing what's in their cabinets and what's in their house. And, so it just made me realize that, really we needed to go ahead and postpone the planned out workshop for this month, which was going to be on fitness and exercise, and just do that next month because we had actually recorded the shopping day so that we could go back and reference that, and I could give a copy to those people. But after the way that it played out, I just really see that everybody needs to listen to this workshop and really get the basic fundamentals on shopping because for me in my everyday walk, we go to the store and we don't really think about it. We know how to shop. We know what to do and what to look for. And it's hard to not assume that everybody knows, exactly what to look for. But, it becomes apparent real quickly that most people are really just starting out and need the basic fundamentals. Even those that have been under chiropractic care for 3 years don't necessarily know much about nutrition. So this is really going to be an awesome workshop for you to get you moving in the right direction and make sure that you know what you're looking for in that area. So sit back, relax, enjoy the workshop. We will be doing the surge training and fitness workshop at a later time, but I just really felt that this was important. Now, on a side note, you're going to notice that this workshop gets cut off early because I didn't actually have time to fit everything in on schedule, everything into one CD because it actually ran about an hour and a half to 2 hours. So not a problem, though. All of the workshops are actually available now online at www.drbucknell.info. That's DRBUCKNELL.info. So you can download all the workshops as well as the patient manuals are all available on that website. You can feel free to send those links to your friends, post the link on Facebook and Twitter, and get the information out there so that people can listen to these workshops and get what they need to out of them. So I hope you enjoy the workshop, and I will talk to you at the end.
Okay, so the point in today, what we're generally trying to cover is just, so that you guys get an idea of what to look for, how to shop, if there's anything specific that you want to know as we're going along, like if there's a certain product category that you want, like salsa or peanut butter or something like that, to go through all the rules that you look for and, and just pick up on tips here and there so you know what to do. Naturally, I wanted to go ahead and start with this because this seems to be a big area that a lot of people are stuck in and unfortunately don't really know enough about. And so you may not be happy with the outcome of it, but it is definitely important. This is about clean animals. Everybody's heard the argument one way or another, and most of us have been convinced that it's okay to eat whatever we want to, and we don't have to worry about any of it. So I wanted to cover that in detail, since after all today is a Sabbath anyways. Got to throw in something biblical. So clean animals are those that are permitted to be eaten by Jewish or Islamic dietary law. Food permitted by Mosaic law is termed kosher. The biblical definitions and examples of clean animals are provided in Deuteronomy 14. Most readily evident feature that distinguishes clean from unclean animals is their diet. The clean animals are all obligate herbivores, eating only plants, whereas the unclean animals are either carnivores or scavengers. The reasons for not allowing the consumption of the latter was only realized following the development of modern scientific investigation. Carnivores and scavengers. So the cool part about this, it covers both the religious end of it and the scientific. I'm going to cover both of it. Carnivores and scavengers frequently carry pathogens such as parasites, which are are not found in herbivores. Some scavengers also accumulate toxins to levels that are dangerous to humans, mainly like pigs. Many contend that the biblical definitions of clean and unclean is an example of the scientific foreknowledge that is found in the Bible. Because after all, who created science? So naturally, it's all going to be there. It's all going to be eventually made true, or should I say, validated and verified as truth. So clean. Do not eat any detestable thing. These are the animals you may eat: the ox, the sheep, the goat, the deer, the gazelle, the roe deer, the wild goat, the ibex, the antelope, and the mountain sheep. You may eat any animal that has a split hoof divided in two and chews the cud. So that's the main thing that you want to look for, when you're looking at all this, because obviously there's a lot more animals than just what's on the list there. However, of those that chew the cud or that have a split hoof completely divided, you may not eat the camel, the rabbit, or the coney. Although they chew the cud, they do not have a split hoof. They are ceremonially unclean for you. The pig is also unclean. Although it has a split hoof, it does not chew the cud. You are not to eat their meat or touch their carcasses. Of all the creatures living in the water, you may eat any that has fins and scales, but anything that does not have fins and scales you may not eat. For you it is unclean. So what does that include? Living in Alabama. Shrimp. Yeah, that's really the big one. Well, it doesn't have both fins and scales. Yeah, it's actually, a shrimp is a crustacean. So, that also includes crab and lobster and clams and mussels and oysters. Basically all the stuff that people eat like crazy here, all of that is included. Scallops, all that stuff. But anything that, you may eat any clean bird, but these you may not eat: the eagle, the vulture, the black vulture, the red kite, the black kite, any kind of falcon, any kind of raven, the horned owl, the screech owl, the gull, any kind of hawk, the little owl, the great owl, the white owl, the desert owl, the osprey, the cormorant, the stork, any kind of heron, the hopi, and the bat. You think you'd want to make sure we're not eating birds? All flying insects that swarm are unclean to you. You do not eat them. But any winged creature that is clean you may eat. Okay, so, I'm not going to go through the thing on ruminants and what that means. That's just on there for your notes. So here's the thing about unclean, okay? Pathogens first and foremost. Improperly cooked meats pose a health risk because of the numerous pathogenic organisms they may contain. Only in modern times have technology has improved to the point where we can be assured that meats have been sufficiently cooked to kill these pathogens. Unfortunately, it also kills any kind of benefit to it also, if there were benefits. Even today in societies where these methods are unavailable, parasites are a major problem, which is communicable diseases like trichinosis with pigs. People eat pigs, and most pork that you find on the shelf is infected with trichinosis. It actually has worms, and so if you don't cook it properly, you now have worms. Jane Cahill reported in Biblical Archaeological Review that the toilets of a Jewish household in Jerusalem were examined and no parasites or infectious agents were found. So scientifically, they look at the toilets and they can't find the pathogens that they find in typical people's toilets because not coming out through the back end. Okay? A similar study done regarding Egyptian systems revealed eggs from schistosoma, trichinella, which is from pigs, wireworm, and tapeworms, all found in pork. Okay? Toxicity. Some unclean animals accumulate toxins to levels that are dangerous to humans. Dr. David Macht conducted toxicity tests on many different kinds of animals and fish and concluded that the toxicity of Levitically unclean animals was higher than that of the clean animals, and that the correlation with the description in Leviticus was 100%. Macht's study also matched the kosher classification performed by James W. Atz. Lists of kosher and non-kosher animals were published in the Orthodox Union and Kosher Guide and in the Orthodox Union Kosher Consumer Directory. In addition to the aforementioned study testing kosher and non-kosher foods for toxicity levels, he indicated the harmful physiological effects of meat and milk combinations, and he compared conventional animal slaughtering versus kosher slaughtering and determined that kosher slaughtering produced less toxic meat. How are you? Are you with the group? Oh, okay, good. Let's give you a packet here. All right. That's notes for you. Okay, so animals on the ark. Here's where it really gets interesting. That's not interesting already, right? Okay, Genesis 7:15 states that pairs of all creatures that have a breath of life in them came to Noah and entered the ark. Genesis 7:2 and 3 text also explicitly states that one pair of each unclean animal and 7 of each clean animal were brought on board to save them from the flood. Now, tell me, why did they bring one pair of unclean animals, yet 7 pairs of clean animals? No, because if they sacrificed them, they wouldn't be able to keep them. They wouldn't be able to release them, right?
If they're going to sacrifice, you're not going to need them.
Well, no, the unclean animals were needed. I mean, they were brought to the ark to repopulate the earth because they still have their purpose, right? Bingo. Yeah, he brought 7. They were instructed to bring 7 of every pair of the clean animals because they knew they needed something to eat. So those were the ones that bred the entire time that they were on the boat, so that they could actually have food to consume. Fascinating, huh? Okay, take with you 7 of every kind of clean animal, a male and its mate, and 2 of every kind of clean animal, a male and its mate, and also 7 of every kind of bird, male and female, to keep their various kinds alive throughout the earth. Guess he figured some of them are going to fly away. It is most helpful that the Bible gives these specific descriptions regarding the animals spared from the flood. In doing so, the Bible helps us understand the actual evolutionary history of animals, because we know the maximum number of species that were reintroduced from each created kind following the flood. Arguably, each breeding pair could represent a separate species, therefore only one species was present on the ark from each unclean kind of animal, and up to 7 species from each clean kind. With this information in hand, we then know exactly how many alleles or species have developed for each kind. So, I mean, just scientifically validated all over the place. Okay, so Christian beliefs. These are basically the beliefs that, unfortunately, most of us are taught, which is why we think it's okay to eat shrimp and eat pork and all this other stuff. So, while I want to cover it for the health reasons, I always get people saying, well, yeah, but, the Bible says that we can eat that stuff, so I don't get why there's a problem. No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. And this is going to go through it, okay? Clean through prayer. It should be noted that many Christians believe that they can eat the food that was declared unclean in the Old Testament if it was consecrated by prayer. Okay? The exact scripture that is used there, forbidding to marry and commanding to abstain from meats, that the word there is actually Brahma in the Greek, that which is eaten, which God hath created to be received with thanksgiving of them which believe and know the truth. For everything God created is good, and nothing is to be rejected if it is received with thanksgiving, because it is consecrated by the word of God in prayer. Now here's the problem. The word Brahma is that which is eaten. So in the Greek, that which is eaten, is that clean or unclean animals? You see the problem? See, we look at it as our interpretation, and we see it as, well, because we eat that stuff, that's automatically included in meats. No, it's not. Because in the original Hebrew, in that culture, I mean, this is Jews that wrote this. They knew those were never food in the first place. That's not included in that which is eaten. What you gather from that, when you understand that, is that they're talking about people that were going around at that time saying that you should not eat any animals. That, when the Bible says, thou shalt not kill, that means we're all supposed to be vegetarians. That's what it was talking about. Make sense? Okay. The other one, clean by divine decree. Many Christians cite Peter's vision in Acts 10 through 15 as a divine decree to no longer classify many animals as unclean. Everybody knows that one, right? You've heard the one dropping down the blanket with all the animals? Okay. So he became hungry and wanted something to eat, and while the meal was being prepared, he fell into a trance. He saw heaven open and something like a large sheet being let down to the earth by its 4 corners. It contained all kinds of 4-footed animals, as well as reptiles of the earth and birds of the air. Then a voice told him, "Get up, Peter, kill and eat." Now, here's where it gets awesome. He says, so God just told him in the vision, he heard God's voice say, "Kill and eat." And what would you say if God told you to do something? Okay, right? Yeah, I mean, that would be the right answer. He says, surely not, Lord. Peter replied, I have never eaten anything impure or unclean. So what does that tell you? He was confused. He is like, what are you talking about? There is no way that you are going against Scripture and what what we've always been taught. There is no, Are we finished? No, we just started. He basically was saying, there is no way that you are going against Scripture in telling me this. Okay? The voice spoke to him a second time. Do not call anything impure that God has made. This happened 3 times, and immediately the sheet was taken back to heaven. So 3 times God told him to, and Peter said, no, it doesn't make sense. He's standing there completely confused, like, what are you talking about? These are unclean foods. I can't eat these. I've never eaten them in my life. Okay? While Peter was wondering about the meaning of the vision, so he knew that there was something else that he was missing, that he was, okay, let's go kill a pig and have a luau, right? That's not what he was saying. The men sent by Cornelius found out where Simon's house was and stopped at the gate. They called out, asking if Simon, who was known as Peter, was staying there. While Peter was still thinking about his vision, the Spirit said to him, Simon, 3 men are looking for you, so get up and go downstairs. Do not hesitate to go with them, for I have sent them. Peter went down and said to the men, I'm the one you're looking for. Why have you come? The men replied, we have come from Cornelius the centurion. He is a righteous and God-fearing man who is respected by all the Jewish people. A holy angel told him to have you come to his house so that he could hear what you have to say. Then Peter invited the men into the house to be his guests. Okay, the next day Peter started out with them, and some of the brothers from Joppa went along. The following day he arrived in Caesarea. Cornelius was expecting them and then called together his relatives and close friends. As Peter entered the house, Cornelius met him and fell at his feet in reverence. But Peter made him stand up. He said, I am only a man myself. Talking with him, Peter went inside and found a large gathering of people. He said to them, you are well aware that this is against our law for a Jew to associate with a Gentile or visit him. But God has shown me that I should not call any man impure or unclean. So when I was sent for, I came without raising any objection. May I ask why you have sent for me? You see how when we take stuff completely out of context, basically, you get into situations where somebody has a belief that they want to, that it's okay to have pork sandwiches on church picnics, and so they go and they find one verse in there and then, build a sermon out of it. But unfortunately, when you put the whole story in context, you see it had nothing to do with that. And the point is that he rejected that 3 times because it was so far against what he knew to be truth, that if it didn't make him think and ponder and question, then he would have gone down to that house and said, sorry guys, I can't sit with you. Because it was Jewish tradition that they thought that they couldn't sit down with Gentiles. But that's not anywhere in the Bible. You see how that works? So the bottom line is, if it says they're unclean, that is not, if it said it was that those animals were unclean and we shouldn't eat them, and then it goes back later and says that they're unclean, then what does that basically do? Invalidate the Bible, right? It invalidates the Word. So I hope that convicts you. That's why we no longer eat pork. That's why we no longer eat shrimp. That's why we choose not to eat that stuff anymore. So in Acts, now is it a matter of salvation? No. Make that clear. It's not a matter of salvation. Okay, so in Acts 10:29, Peter provides the meaning of the above vision as being declared a declaration or instruction from God for the Jews to take the gospel message to the Gentiles, which Mosaic law defines as unclean. So that's going to get us started. And so basically, I just wanted to go through that first so that you know what we're looking for and why we're going to skip certain sections, right? Why we're going to skip over and the meats is generally kind of a staple within our reading glasses. I Like, what is that? Cool sun visor. Okay, so we're going to start going through, and if you guys have any specific questions on anything as we're going through, if you buy a certain product usually and you want to know what's wrong with it, or if it's good, pick it up, ask. I mean, that's what we're here for. We're going to try and be done within an hour, so that gives us 45 more minutes. So you guys ready? Okay, let's roll. We'll just kind of start. Okay, we're just going to kind of start right here because with, anytime you have a group, what we're going to have to do is just kind of pick a section at a time, because otherwise we're going to be I'm going to be trying to yell as I'm walking and talking. So with fruits and vegetables, okay, the first thing is, of course you want to buy as much organic as you can. There's certain things certain fruits and vegetables that you can buy non-organic that really don't have that big of a difference between the organic varieties, such as, I know bananas are one of them, that you really don't have to worry about buying organic, so you can buy the cheap ones. Now, you do still have to kind of think about genetic engineering on that note, because unfortunately they still genetically alter a lot of these foods. You'll notice that there's different varieties of bananas that you can get that are 2 or 3 times the size of a normal banana, and that's typically because they've bred them that way. And I don't know if there's any genetic variation in them, but just something to keep in mind. But there is a list. If you get on Google, just look up organic, not organic, or conventional shopping list or something like that. If you do a search, you'll be able to find a couple of websites that show you which ones you can eat. In fact, you know what? It's in the Maximize Living Nutrition Plans book. So it's in that book. If you guys have the book, I know that it's in there. Yeah, so there's certain foods like strawberries you definitely don't want to buy non-organic. Blueberries, peaches, I know those ones are on the list. You do not want to buy if they're not organic, because their skin is so thin that they really absorb a lot of toxins. They just suck the pesticides right into them. Basically, here's what I kind of see as the rule, is that if it's a real juicy fruit or vegetable, that means it is very efficient at absorbing fluid. It's very efficient at absorbing water. So anytime that there's a high efficiency of absorption, it's going to be sucking in toxins too, right? All the pesticides and everything else. Typically, your denser products are going to be less of a problem. Okay? So anybody have any questions on fruits, vegetables?
If you grow your fruit, like the blueberry?
Yeah, that's better because you can make sure that they're not being sprayed with pesticides. You got to think about it from a farmer's perspective. They're worried about getting maximum efficiency of their crop yield. They're not concerned about your nutrition. If they have the option of being able to send 10 pounds to market or 5 pounds to market, they're going to want to do 10, right? Because it's just higher efficiency. So now, it is good to actually grow your own stuff as much as possible anyways, because that way you can make sure that you're actually picking it when it's ripe. Because unfortunately, a lot of this stuff is coming from California, Ecuador, Honduras. So you figure they're in the fields of Honduras. They pick a lemon that's fully ripe. Okay, now they have to get it into the crates. They have to ship it all the way across the ocean. They have to unpack it, get it through the distribution factory for Target. Then they've got to get it shipped to the individual store. Then the people here have to unbox it, get it on the shelves, and then it's probably not going to sell for another week. So what do you think? Lemons? I don't know for sure if that one's on the list. I don't know for sure. But it does. Yeah, I know you can look in the book, and even if you don't have the book and you just want to peek at it when you're in the office, yeah, you can totally do that. So, but the point is, if you waited until vine ripening, then by the time you're actually going to buy it, yeah, it's terrible. It's already spoiled. So what does that mean they have to do? when it's green. Yeah, so they pick it when it's green. Here's a problem with that. 75% of the nutritional quality comes into the fruit or vegetable in the last 24 to 48 hours of vine ripening. 75% of the nutrients. So do you see now why we tell everybody you need a whole food supplement? I mean, you have to have a whole food supplement, because if you don't, there's no way you're getting it unless you have a huge garden in your backyard, or you shop at a farmer's market every weekend. It's near impossible to do it. So that just makes it easy, because these companies that make whole food supplements, they wait until they're vine ripened, they pick them, they immediately process them, so you're getting maximum nutritional quality. A whole food supplement, yeah, that's as opposed to a multivitamin. Like if you take a multivitamin standard from the store, basically they just take lump nutrients like vitamin C, vitamin A, vitamin D, vitamin E, all these different nutrients that that most uneducated people are going to pick it up and they're going to be like, oh, that's got a lot of stuff in it. Here's a problem. A tomato and an apple have over 10,000 phytonutrients in them. What about all that stuff? You see the problem? I mean, it's just, there's all these phytonutrients that you're not getting if you're just getting a multivitamin. So what does that tell you most multivitamins are on the shelf for? Profit. Yeah, profit. It's a multi-billion-dollar industry. They actually say it's the next trillion-dollar industry is health and wellness. So everybody's getting on the bandwagon with vitamins. I mean, there's I think 2,000 new nutritional supplements on the market every single year. That was as of a couple of years ago. It's probably getting even more now. So, any other questions? All right, let's move on. Let's go to the meat. Okay, so we're going to stop here at the bread section, because I want to go through what you're actually looking for when you're looking for breads. So we're going to do here, which is the fresh baked breads, and then we're going to go over to the shelf bread, right? So you can see really the difference here. So if with these type of loaves, okay, you look at the ingredients. Basically, it's unbleached flour. They add in a bunch of vitamins, and then water, white rye flour, sour culture, and then contains less than 2% of the following: salt, yeast, malt powder, semolina, contains wheat. Okay, so basically the ingredients are flour, water, rye flour, sour culture. That's it. Okay, so keep that in mind when we're going over and we're looking at the breads over there. So now unbleached flour, you want to look at that, because bleached flour is incredibly high processed. Even unbleached flour is processed. You're better off if you can find stone ground. Okay, so what you want to find is stone ground. Unfortunately, good luck. You're not going to find it very often. So making your own breads at home would be even the best. Yeah, and they'll slice your breads over there. Usually when you get loaves like this, they'll slice them anywhere. So say that again. Enriched flour is basically where they take flour and then they add in nutrients. So they're adding in niacin, iron, thiamine, mononitrate, riboflavin, and folic acid. So they just add in nutrients because they know it's basically nutrient deficient. So, but that stuff is still much better than what you're going to get over there, as we'll see in a few. Now, you want to make sure, even in a section like this, that you're actually reading the labels, right? Because if you pick up another kind, and you can tell I've been here enough, okay, you pick up another kind. This one has enriched bleached flour. Okay, so immediately you know it's bleached, so it's basically straight direct to sugar. Water, yeast, soybean oil, which is one of the artificial oils that you don't want to consume. That was makeover material there. Salt, sugar. Okay, so they're adding sugar into it. Cultured wheat flour sponge. That's interesting. I don't even know what that is. Soy flour, wheat flour, monocalcium phosphate, calcium phosphate, ammonium chloride, ammonium sulfate, ascorbic acid, and the rest is just added in vitamins. So, the main things I would want to avoid there is, I don't need sugar in my bread. You get sugar everywhere else. I don't want bleached flour at all, because that's basically straight to sugar, and I don't want the soybean oil. So keep those things in mind. So bottom line is, you have to read all the labels. I mean, even if you have, a bread that looks relatively the same, it's the same packaging, you pick up another one that's got, that's got the same type of bag, you still want to look at the back of it, because they make each kind differently. So what you'll see is, after you shop for a while, right, you get used to knowing what you can and can't buy. So it may take you a couple hours the first time that you come in here after getting all this stuff down, but after that, you're in here for 30, 40 minutes, and it's not that big a deal. Okay? Right. Just because it's brown doesn't mean it's okay. Yeah. They can make it brown. This one in particular, this is the Artisan Harvest Grain Loaf. Okay? So, you would expect it to be good, but we still read. Unbleached, enriched wheat flour, water, whole wheat flour, honey, cracked wheat, rye flakes, flax seeds, oats, sesame seeds, sunflower seeds, wheat bran, salt, and instant yeast. Okay? So, this stuff is actually pretty good. Now, also keep in mind, though, would this be okay if you were on the advanced diet? No, because it's wheat, yeah. Also, let's talk digestion for a minute. If you're having any kind of digestive issues whatsoever, then you want to avoid wheat. If you're having any major health problems whatsoever, you really ought to avoid wheat. You ought to avoid, the four things that you want to avoid if you're having any kind of digestive issues. Number 1 is dairy, number 2 is wheat, number 3 is soy, and number 4 is corn. Okay, those 4 things are, just wreak havoc on your system intestinally, especially if you're having food sensitivities. Okay? Right. Bingo. Yeah, if you're on the advanced diet, you can't even do honey or molasses or agave because they still are sugar. The only thing that you can really use to do sweet would be stevia. So, can you cook with stevia? Yeah. There's actually, we have at the office that baking blend, the stevia baking blend, and it's mixed to where it's supposed to be 1-to-1, like a 1-to-1 cup difference between regular sugar, but we don't even do that. We do like half a cup to 1 cup of sugar, because otherwise it's just way too sweet. For us, at least. Do we buy bread from here? I get mine from Virginia. Yeah, we. And I'm going to repeat that just so we can get it on the tape recorder. We buy most of our bread from Virginia's. That is, millet or brown rice bread. You can find brown rice bread. So that way if you have an option, even if you don't have digestive issues, if you have an option between buying bread made of wheat and bread made of something else like rice, then buy the stuff with rice. Now, it is going to be more expensive, though. We don't use bread a lot, so I don't go to the lab. Right, exactly. If you're used to eating a sandwich every day, now you're gonna go through bread a lot faster. I can't tell you the last time I ate a sandwich. Yeah. Anything else? All good here. Okay, let's go on to the meats. Okay, so we're at the meats, and the big thing that we want to cover is getting the difference between the main components that you want to look for in meat. So we're just going to start here because this is where they keep their organic ground beef. So we want to check that out and see if we're finding what we're actually looking for. Okay, so with the organic ground beef, it says on the label. Let's pick out the main things. It says organic ground beef, no added antibiotics, no added growth hormones. Okay, on the back it says Verde Farms raises cattle on wide open pastures in harmony with the environment to produce remarkably rich and flavorful organic beef. I invite you to taste the quality. So So what do we gather from that? What are the big things that we want to look for in meat? We want grass-fed. Okay, what else do we want to look for? No additives, no hormones, no antibiotics. What else? The word organic, right? We want to see the word organic on there. Okay, now what do you? Here's where you really got to be picky. How are you? Here's where you got to be really, really picky, because it says organic, it says no added antibiotics and no added growth hormones, and it talks about the cows being on open pastures in the back. So you would look at that and say, hey, this is grass-fed. Are you sure? No, you're not sure. It says that they're raised on wide open pastures, but here's a common practice in cow farming, and this is where you got to get into like the nitty gritty. And a common practice is that they raise them for a certain period of time on pastures, and then when they're getting ready for slaughter, they bring them inside and they raise them on grains to fatten them up and get the texture in there, because that's what people like. People like the corn-fed beef because that's what they're used to. Grass-fed beef tastes different. So people that don't know any difference, let's say that somebody walks through here and they see this and they're like, well, my friends have been talking about organic beef. Maybe I ought to try it. And then some grass-fed beef. They take it on, they put it on the grill, and they take a bite into it, and they're like, ooh, I think it might be bad, right? Because it tastes different from what they're used to. So companies will do that on purpose. They'll bring them inside, raise them, fatten them up on corn and wheat so that they don't have to, so that they don't lose market share, basically. See how that works? So you really got to be picky when you're reading food labels on meat, because you don't always get, there's a lot of marketing that goes into it. See how that? You've got to literally check the farm. You've got to know the farm. Hastings, which is where we get all of our beef from, that we order. Yeah, the stuff that we order, they are up in Bay Minette, I think, and they actually raise on the pasture 100%. They don't ever give them grains. Virginia's, I think, but their prices are going to be higher than what we carry it for. Yeah. We basically, here's the thing, we keep it in the office, even though it's kind of a pain in the butt for the girls to deal with. We keep it in the office mainly because we already ordered ourselves. Why not let everybody else do it too? Yeah, so it's just the community issue of it. Okay, so now let's go to the next one here. Okay, this is still beef. Okay, but this is the Lohr's lean beef. Okay, now this, I know a lot of people buy Lohr's beef. Okay, and it says on here that cattle never given antibiotics or added growth hormones. Okay, it contains no artificial ingredients, so it's basically just meat. Okay, so is this better than the conventional stuff that you're going to buy at Walmart or Sam's? Definitely. It's definitely going to be a little bit better because it says cattle never given antibiotics or added growth hormones. What's it missing? Right, it's not fed. It's probably corn fed, most likely. Genetically altered corn feed, probably. Okay, and it's also not organic, right? So even though it's got a nice green label on it and looks healthy, not necessarily. See how that works? It's marketing, baby. That's what free world, free enterprise. Yeah. And here, that's an important point. Do you know what they require to label something organic? It only needs to have 25% of the contents organic. 75% of it can be conventional, like a carton of milk. They can squeeze 25% organic milk into the carton, fill the rest with conventional, and sell it organic. Walmart got busted about that a while back. Probably about, 2 years ago or something. They actually got found out that they were labeling their Great Value brand. I think it was soy milk that they were doing it with. Yeah. So you got to be careful. Ground bison. They have bison here, okay? And so let's see. This too says all natural. Is all natural the same as organic?
No.
No. Okay, raised without antibiotics, no added hormones, minimally processed, no artificial ingredients. Okay, Great Range brand is proud to bring the same premium bison products served in the nation's finest restaurants. Nothing about grass-fed, nothing. I mean, they could be right next to the cows in the pen. You know, you really don't have any idea. Okay, so any other questions on, I mean, that's really the basic on the real meats, and then we're going to get to the packaged meats. Yes. Good point. By far, if there is one change that you're going to make in your diet, just one change your meats. Above and beyond anything else, because here's the big issue. Okay? A cow has to eat, I think it's like something like 10 pounds of grain to put on 1 pound of meat. So think about that. All of that grain that it's eating and all the pesticides, they're getting consumed to put on just 1 pound of meat. Now, what do we know about toxins? Where do they accumulate? In the cells. What kind of cells do they gravitate to predominantly? What type? Fat cells. Bingo. Good stuff. Yeah. So they accumulate in fat. Well, what do they? What are cows notorious for? Putting on a lot of weight really quickly. So all that grain that they're feeding them, and the reason why they give them grain is to increase the fat content, right? So that people, happy Americans like it. Okay. And so as that happens, all of those toxins are accumulating right there in that fat. So the best thing you can do for your family, change to grass-fed beef. That is incredibly lean. It doesn't have a lot of fat content. What is there, you can eat it. You don't have to worry about it because it's all grass-fed. You got to make sure it's just grass-fed. Yeah.
I got a question.
Sure.
Back in the time, or in the Bible, it says to make animals that have split hooves divided into two. A cow has a split hoof?
Yes. A cow has a split hoof, so that is included in there. In fact, in the section on ruminants, and I cut that out of the notes just because it gave you literally the species breakdown, showing the ruminant, like I can't remember it from science class, the family, the whatever, and then the species, and it listed all the species on there, and cattle were on there. Yeah. So yes, they are included in there. It's okay to eat the beef. Any other questions? Okay. Hate ground turkey? Yeah, I mean, let's just go ahead and hit that real quick. So, I mean, the same things apply. A turkey needs to be, turkey and poultry in general, you want to make sure that it's free range. That's the most important thing, because if they're bottled up in a cage, imagine what would happen to let's say that Scott here, we go and we lock you in a 5 foot by 5 foot cage and give you nothing but bowls of corn mush every day. So you can't move around. You can't. Yeah. How long would it take before you were completely unhealthy and you were fat? Not very long, right? I mean, sedentary lifestyle. It's an incredibly unhealthy animal if it's stuck in a cage. So you want to make sure that they're free range. They're out walking around every day, doing their thing, pecking at the ground. Okay, and it also comes down to what they're eating. Too. They're out there eating grass and eating seeds and all the stuff that grows along the ground. Their natural diet. So, do most stores carry free range? No. In fact, I can't tell you where. We just unfortunately found out the other day. Jen, I had her double check at Fresh Market, and their chicken is not free range, and they do receive antibiotics, right? But they say that it's out of their system by the time you eat it. How do you know that? Yeah. Yeah. So, mean, we don't. I mean, as of right now, we don't. We were getting it from Fresh Market, but that changed this week. So you would pretty much have to order. I know there's one website called Blackwing, I think, blackwingbeef.com or something like that, and they have Blackwing. Yeah, they have good stuff. I think so. Yeah, just look up Blackwing and you'll be able to find it. Yeah, it's not going to be. It's not going to be. I promise you that. Yeah, and you'll see all kinds of additives and stuff like that. So let's go ahead and head to the processed meat so you can see the difference. Okay, so looking at the packaged chicken, this one, Just Bare Chicken. It says on the package, no added hormones, no antibiotics ever. So I like that. No antibiotics ever. They make sure that, as opposed to what we just found out about Fresh Market. What is this? It's called Just Bare Chicken. It says all natural. Now we know that is different from organic. But you also, when you see that, you may check with the actual farm, because here's the thing: not all farms are organic. Like Hastings Farms, where we get our beef, that's not organic. Yeah, I don't think they're certified organic yet. But in actually talking with them on the farm, you find out that the reason why they're not is because they have to go through all kinds of regulations, which increases their costs directly to you as a consumer, just so that they can have a stamp saying it's organic. When honestly, if I know they're not giving them drugs and antibiotics and everything, fine, whatever. I don't care if it says organic on the label. Okay, this one actually says cage-free, vegetable fed. So they're fed. I mean, they're not stuck in a cage. And then it says also traceable to the family farm. So we know that basically, these are free range. They're able to walk around. They don't have hormones. So other than the organic issue, which you could actually check out, it actually looks pretty good. So I would say this would be good stuff. So there's your chicken. This would definitely be better. I mean, if we're looking at options, of what you're actually going to be able to find, you're definitely going to be better off going with something like that than just going with the unnatural stuff. That one, fresh, all natural, but that one doesn't say free range.
Check this one right here.
Check this one, Jenny O. Okay, so Jenny O turkey. Ground turkey breast with natural flavorings. Okay, so it says all natural. And that's it. It says all natural. You know what? I mean, we can say this. All of us here are all natural, right? But half of us might be taking medications. So I mean, there's a difference between all natural.
Turkey, they're not fed any grains or anything that I know of, but I do know that the reason why I don't eat pork and I don't eat Jenny-O turkey because for the simple fact that I have heard stories where they shot the turkeys up with steroids and stuff to make them bigger, to get the bigger wings and stuff. So that's why I don't eat Jenny-O turkey.
I believe that. I'm curious, why don't you eat pork?
Because I'm Muslim and I don't eat pork whatsoever.
Okay. Good. Yeah, we don't eat pork either. One thing we can agree on, right? Okay, so let's go down to the ultra processed meats now. Okay, so we're going to talk about the processed meats now. Okay, this is the pre-packaged meats. I'm going to say this. This is something that you're not going to see on any of the labels, but there was articles coming out last year showing that the FDA had approved a new virus spray to spray on meats. Okay, and so probably about 90% of the cold cuts that you see on the shelf, they're sprayed with this spray. Okay, it's a virus that they actually spray onto the meats with the idea that the virus is going to kill any bacteria that grow on the meat. Okay? Yeah, so you're spraying it with a virus that's going to kill the bacteria. So just absolutely crazy. So this one here, Hormel Natural Choice, 100% natural, no preservatives. Okay, so first thing is, see, it's in a box. So how do you keep something in a box good for, however long, and yet have it not have any kind of something going on there, that we don't know exactly what's going on. So it says no nitrates or nitrates added, which, by the way, let's talk about that for a second. If you see meat, if you buy, meat from the store, like let's say you go over to the deli and you have them slice you some deli meats, okay? You want to look for nitrates and nitrites. Why? Because when you look at animal studies or any drug studies, where you see all these studies where they take rats that have cancer and they use a drug to try and see if it destroys the cancer. Okay? Anytime they do that, how do they give those rats cancer? Have you ever questioned that? They load them up with nitrates and nitrites. They blast their bodies full of nitrates and nitrates, and it induces cancer.
Nitrates and what?
Nitrates and nitrites.
Nitrites.
Yep. So, interesting, huh? And we're getting it on all kinds of meats and all kinds of everything. No artificial ingredients, minimally processed, no MSG added. So they have that listed on there, no MSG. So what does that tell you most of the cold cuts have on them? MSG, monosodium glutamate, which is a neurostimulant. It actually makes you think that it tastes better than it really does. Raised without added hormones, gluten-free. So they add all these things on the label, to tell you, basically shouting out, I'm healthy, eat me. But really, how much do you know about it? None of the other qualifications that are over there. Is it grass-fed? Is it organic? Is it, does it have antibiotics? A lot of this stuff is just not there. So you want to be careful of that. And while I'm here, I just want to go ahead and pick up a package of Carl Buddig. They dropped the Carl. It used to be Carl Buddig when I used to eat it by the pound. We used to buy the turkey of this stuff like crazy when I was in college. I didn't know any better, but it tasted really, really good. And it was always amazing to me. This one only has 3 words on it. It says smoked, chopped, pressed. I think the turkey, which I don't even see up here anymore, it used to have like 6 different descriptions on it. Like it was chopped, pressed, cooked, smoked, pressed, oiled, greased, massaged. It was like every kind of processing you could possibly do, they did to this meat. So you definitely want to skip the Carl Buddig. Stay away. Yeah, if meat comes in a package like this, just skip it altogether. Just skip it. Okay, so we're going to go through all the dairy, and I'm just going to basically sum up all dairy in one section. Okay, so we don't have to go through cheese and yogurt, because here's the thing you need to know. Okay, the main thing that you need to know about dairy products is it takes 4 gallons of milk to make 1 gallon of yogurt or like soft product like that, or whipped cream, all that kind of stuff. It takes 10 gallons of milk to make 1 gallon of cheese. Okay, so the more dense the dairy product is, the more milk is actually going into it to produce it. So the more concentrated it is the way you want to look at it. Okay, so here's the main points that you want to look for with dairy products. In general, the safe dairy products would be this: raw, unpasteurized, unhomogenized. Where are you going to find it? Pretty much, yeah. I don't think you can even find it at the health food store. Most all products that you find, because there is so much regulation on dairy. Now, why is there so much regulation on dairy? Because it spoils fast. it spoils, within a week or two, So you think about a typical store setting, it's got to get from the farm. We went through that processing earlier. It's got to get from the farm through all their rigmarole, through processing and checking and FDA, standard testing and all that kind of stuff before it gets to you, and then you expect to keep it, in your shelf for 2 weeks, right? So just think about it. Is that probable? Is that possible if you're doing a raw product? It's not possible. So really, you've got to find a farm where you can get raw dairy if that's something that you think you've got to have. Outside of that, we can pretty much end the conversation on dairy right there. Yeah, I mean,
they have raw cheese.
They have raw cheese, but you still got to look. Is it pasteurized? Is it homogenized? Is the milk that they use to make it pasteurized? And there's just so many questions that you got to ask. But it's still going to be better. It's still going to be better than. I mean, the optimal situation would be if you can actually find a raw dairy where you can get them from. But I don't think they're legal in Alabama.
No, in Mississippi there's Amish.
In Mississippi there's Amish? Okay. I'd love to get the information on it so that we could know. Okay. Yeah, that would be great to know where they're at so that we can pass it on. Okay, let's move on. Okay, so the question there was, do you need calcium from dairy products? The answer definitely no, and I'll sum it up in the stats. The statistics actually show that the two countries that have that consume the most dairy, the United States and Denmark, actually have the highest rates of osteoporosis because the calcium in cow's milk does not have enough vitamin D or magnesium to be absorbable. So what it actually does is it causes more problems than it does good. It's one of the big things that I look for when people are getting kidney stones. Well, we'll start looking at dairy products. So yeah, it does. You don't really get a lot of calcium, and in fact, they really push it for kids. But the research shows that some 75-80% of kids below the age of 2 are severely allergic to cow's milk. So no kids really below the age of 2 should be consuming any dairy products whatsoever because they're actually allergic to it. All kinds of issues, yeah. If it's cow's milk and is he below 2? He's 3? Okay. Yeah, so you could start to do, you get goat milk. Goat's milk is actually the closest to human breast milk, so that would be better. But, we are so wrapped up in a culture that we need milk products, and the reality is we don't really. It's not like it's a requirement for good nutrition, but you definitely still want to make sure that the rules apply. Is it raw? Is it non-homogenized? Is it non-pasteurized? Because the minute that you pasteurize it, even if it's, flash pasteurization, they're basically, putting it in a kiln at, 500 degrees. It blasts all the enzymes, all the probiotics, anything in there that would actually be healthy and the benefits, all of that stuff just gets wiped out. So it completely changes the status of the food. Okay, so eggs. Let's go through eggs. Here's the big thing that you want to look for with eggs. You want to make sure they're organic. You want to make sure that they're grass-fed, that they're free range. Because it's the same thing. You don't want, if the chicken is or the hen is unhealthy, what are the eggs? Unhealthy. Yeah. So you want to make sure that the hen themselves is healthy. So free range, organic. They should be brown. You want to make sure that they're cage-free. You want to make sure, you really don't want them to be corn-fed, that the hens they may say that they're free range, but they fatten them all up on corn all the time. So you want them to be basically running around a yard pecking at the grass. So they're not going to. That's why, we have the lady that, I mean, she has a bunch of chickens that run around her house and peck at the ground all day, and they collect the eggs from them. So you're probably.
But I know I would have to use them to sell the people, or
Yeah.
I don't want to eat my grass and things like that.
Yeah. And if you live in a neighborhood, your neighbors probably won't like you leaving chickens around your house. You might come out and find one or two missing, and they're on the dinner table next door. All right. So, any other questions on the eggs specifically? Just kind of get an idea of which ones are which. What they're fed. Yeah, typically you're not gonna see on there what they're actually fed. But if they're cage free, I mean if they're actually free range eggs, you're gonna be generally safer. So I wouldn't worry about it too much because the chickens are gonna. Yeah.
You know, I have had a hard time encouraging store thinking you guys want to buy it, but I can either find ones that say no hormones, no antibiotics, or I can find ones that says cage free, but I haven't found one, at least that public that says all of that.
Yeah.
I don't know what they're fed, but like those say cage free, but they say raised without antibiotics.
But they might be on antidepressants. Chickens get depressed too, after all. It would be. Yeah, the only thing is, they're not organic. It says that they're hens raised without antibiotics, but they're not organic. So the ones on the top, yeah, those ones are organic, and it says that they're cage free.
It doesn't say anything about no antibiotics.
Well, if they're organic, then you know that there are no antibiotics. See, that's the benefit of doing organic. Organic means yes. Like we bought a shirt for William that says 100% organic. You know, meaning you don't have any drugs. You do not take any kind of unnatural medications, hormones, injections of any kind. That's what organic means. Okay, it's completely natural. Okay, so here's where it gets real interesting. We're in the section on the so-called health foods, healthy alternative foods. Okay, and this is actually where you really have to be careful, because a lot of people, they'll look at this and they'll be like, okay, well, this is all the health food, so I can basically buy anything in here and I'm going to be okay because it's, after all, the health food section. So beware. So let's just pick up. Let's see. I'm going to do the Boca Burgers. Okay. So Boca Burgers. This is the vegetarian alternative hamburger. Okay. So it says on the front that it's completely vegan, meatless burgers. Okay. So after all, vegans are 100%, are a lot healthier than meat eaters, right? Okay. So we look at the label. Here's the ingredients: water, soy protein concentrate, wheat gluten, contains less than 2% of salt, caramel color, dried onions, yeast extract, sesame oil, hydrolyzed wheat protein, natural and artificial flavor, disodium glutamate, and disodium anisotate. Okay, so number 2 ingredient, soy protein concentrate. That's basically processed soy that is processed so much that it's indigestible. Soy, but in itself, you really shouldn't be eating a lot of anyways, because it's one of those questionable foods. Second ingredient is wheat gluten, okay, which we know is a major allergen for most children, and most people in general. Okay, and then it's got caramel color, which is very questionable. Yeast extract. This one's important. Yeast extract is basically MSG. Okay, anytime that you see yeast extract, there's a list. You'll want to get online and look it up on MSG alternative names. Just look up names for MSG on Ask Dr. Google, and there's a list of probably about I don't know, 20 different things that they use as a name for MSG to hide it on the label. So you got to literally know what to look for. Even natural and artificial flavorings can be MSG. I mean, there's all kinds of different ways to hide it. Okay, sesame oil, which is one of the oils that you probably, should not eat. Hydrolyzed wheat protein. Hydrolyzed anything is not good. Okay, that's incredibly processed. So basically, how healthy do you think Boca burgers are? Not good, right? So the point I want to make there is you really want to make sure that you're reading every single label, even the health foods, to see does it really fit within the dietary guidelines or not, because whether it's healthy or not is all marketing. It's all marketing.
What was the website for us to find out the names for MSG?
I don't have an actual website. You'll just have to Google it, and just look up names for MSG.
Okay.
Yeah, and you'll be able to find all that stuff. Okay, outside of that, there's nothing really real interesting to look at in this section, so we'll go to the next. Okay, so we're, real quickly, while we're back here, let's go through the seafood, fish real quick. We already talked about, in the beginning, we talked about shrimp and, and most of the stuff that's back there, but we do need to at least talk about the fish, okay? A lot of people eat catfish, right? Catfish is one of those big things. Now, does it have both does it have both fins and scales? No. Yeah, catfish has skins, right? Okay, now let's think about it for a second. What do catfish do? They're scavengers. Yeah, they're going along the bottom. They're eating all the grime off the bottom. So how much grime is in our lakes now? How many chemicals are in our lakes? If you go and you test the mercury levels of the Mobile Bay, what do you think you're going to find? It's terrible in some spots. Yeah, so all the catfish are the ones that are down there eating all that stuff. So that's going to be the most toxic fish of any. So, of course, God had His reasons for giving us all these rules. But as far as the rest of the fish goes, basically what you want to look for is you want to make sure that it's wild caught. Okay, you don't want the what does it say, farm raised? Yeah, because most of the time if it's farm raised, man, you've got a big old massive pool of fish that is basically like a chicken in a cage. They're not out in open water swimming around. They're not in their natural environments. They're stressed out. They're probably they're actually raising a lot of fish on corn now. They're actually feeding fish corn. They figured out how to get fish to live on corn. Oh yeah. The movie, next time that we have a movie night and we're showing King Corn, make sure that you come out and watch it. There's a movie, King Corn. It's awesome. I mean, it just blows your mind about how the whole system works. The subsidizing that the government does for corn is insane. I mean, they pay farmers to produce corn out of our tax dollars. So it'll say wild caught on the label. You're generally wherever its natural environment is, so Pacific Ocean, Atlantic Ocean, in streams, just wherever that kind of fish is found, they're actually out catching them on boats. They're not growing salmon in their backyard pond. Catfish is a definite no-no. Yeah. Shark would also be a no-no. Shrimp is a crustacean. It's not even a fish. It's crustaceans are basically insects of the sea. They're the bugs. That's why they call shrimp the cockroaches of the ocean, because they basically do what cockroaches do. Yeah, it's awful. Yeah. What about sushi? You just love sushi? I mean, there's nothing. I mean, biblically, there's nothing saying you have to cook the fish.
No, I know, but so the things you have crabs.
Yeah.
California will have crabs.
Yeah, That's true. Well, and just stick to the fish sushi. Yeah. So eel does not have fins. It doesn't have scales. It has fins, but it's all skin. I've had eel before. Disgusting. Yeah. So those are the two things. You just tuna has both skin. It has both scales and fins, so that's fine. Yeah, you can have tuna. Yeah. So those are the big two qualifications. You just want to make sure that they have fins and they have scales. If they do, then if God says they're clean, they're clean. Okay, so let's touch real quickly on vegetables, because in the freezer section you can get frozen vegetables. You're generally going to be better off with frozen vegetables than you are like canned. In fact, sometimes the frozen vegetables are actually better than what you're going to get on the shelf, because they're picking it when it's actually ripe and then freezing it immediately. So you can actually be better off doing the frozen stuff, but that's just kind of like a side rule. Okay, chips. Basically with your chips and snack foods, here's the thing. Even when, and this is going to be brief, this is going to be short, even when they say organic on the label, and they're buying, and they're made with organic corn or organic potatoes or stuff like that, the main thing you want to look at with chips is, of course, how they're cooked. And most of them are cooked in what? Oils. They're cooked in corn oil, they're cooked in vegetable oil, and they're a fried food no different than fried chicken is. So they're not really going to be any healthier for you. You can find let's jump out of the way for some of these people. You can find chips that are cooked in like avocado oil if you look really hard, but they're just really hard to find. So generally speaking, you're kind of gonna keep clear of the chips and stuff unless they're baked. Like you can look at baked. You can find some baked chips, but even with that, you want to look and see if they're baked using oils, because they'll actually coat them in oil so that they bake that much faster, and they can just do them at really high temperatures, which is basically no different than frying it directly in the oil. You know what I mean? Okay, so real quick, we're going to go through bottled water, just on a couple notes. First of all, if it's stored in plastic, generally speaking, the water is stored in a warehouse, in a hot warehouse, for weeks and weeks on end. So the plastic from the bottles actually leaches into the water. So if at all possible, you want to do one of two things. You either want to buy glass bottled water, that's spring water, or you want to actually filter it at home yourself. So actually have a good quality filter like Crystal Quest. They have at crystalquest.com. They have a triple stage water filter that has a fluoride filter on it. So, something like that would be good, or you could get a reverse osmosis system. That would be good. You can get a distillation system, but you'd want to make sure that you're adding back in some trace minerals here and there. You can do a alkaline water system. All of those are fine. Probably the reverse osmosis is going to be the best one, just on a general basis. Yes?
What about the refrigerators that have the filter built in?
Usually all that is a cheap charcoal filter, so it's going to remove the sediment, but it's not going to remove any of the chlorine or the fluoride. Yeah. And you also have to be careful, like I wanted to point this one out specifically, because right here on the bottle, the kids' bottle, they have on here with added fluoride. Okay? Do some, I'm getting there. Do some added research. Just jump online and start looking up research on fluoride. And what you're going to find is that it's basically a byproduct of aluminum production. That they used to have to spend just boatloads of money to dispose of this toxic offshoot of aluminum production. So the aluminum producers had to pay to dispose of fluoride. Well, then, I'm not going to get into all the rigmarole, but they came up with basically fabricated research showing that fluoride increases the strength of your teeth. So based on that, they found a way to conveniently dispose of it by putting it into all of our products. So now they're not just having to pay to get rid of it, they're actually getting paid to sell it. You see how that works? So watch out for that. Okay, so juices. Let's go through juices here. Because a lot of us give juice to our kids, right? That's like seems to be a staple, and we think that. I like to cover this because we think that we're doing our kids good by giving them juice, but you really got to be careful because a lot of these, like let's just take grape juice, just standard grape juice. Okay, it says on here 100% grape juice. Okay, but it's and it says from concentrate. So the first thing, even though it says contains natural fruit sugars only, it's basically, it's really concentrated. So you're taking a grape which has a good amount of sugar in it already. You can't have it with the advanced diet, right? You can't eat grapes at all on the advanced diet. But you're taking those and you're super concentrating them into juice. So it's a lot of sugar. That's really the basis, even if it's 100%.
Plus the pesticides are going to be.
Exactly. All the same rules apply that you want to look for in fresh produce. You want to look and see if it's organic. You want to see if it's vine ripened. You want to look at all that stuff. And it like rarely ever says it. So if anything, you want to buy organic juice, and you want to get it unprocessed, unfiltered. There is, let's see. That's from concentrate. Most of these are going to be all from concentrate. It's not optimal. It's just if you have an option. If you want to switch from one juice to another, buy the organic. That's fine, and make sure that it doesn't have any extra sugar on the label. Like some of these, you're going to pick them up. And this one is filtered water, organic apple juice concentrate. But some of these you may pick up and you may see that they actually add sugar into them. They'll especially if it's a health food, they'll add cane sugar. So here we go. V8 Fusion, reconstituted vegetable juice blend, reconstituted fruit juices, natural flavoring. So we got to question what natural flavorings is. Yeah, so this doesn't add extra sugar into it though. So some of these you're going to actually see that they add sugar back into cane juice, evaporated cane juice, all those kind of things, and it's adding sugar, no matter what. Reconstituted basically means from concentrate. So they concentrate it and then they reconstitute it.
Yeah. It's going to have sugar. If you're not in the advanced diet, you're going to have sugar. Agave nectar, honey, cane juice,
molasses, sorghum, all that stuff is definitely better. Definitely better. Honey, though, you want to get raw honey as much as possible. There is an apple juice that we buy from Fresh Market that comes in a big glass jug that is basically just raw, unprocessed, unfiltered apple juice. It's actually got all the apple puree at the bottom of the jug. You have to shake it up every time you want to drink it. So that stuff is good. You drink it and it actually tastes like real apples. It's at Fresh Market. It's called, I think, Murray's or something like that. It's in a big, giant glass gallon jug. You can't miss it. Makes a great piggy bank when you're done. Yeah.
I have a juicer and I use there's nothing more wonderful tasting than fresh apples.
Oh, I'll tell you. Yeah. That's a very good point. If you have the ability to juice at home on your own, get yourself a juicer and just do it that way. A good one is a Vitamix. That one you can actually put all the stuff in there. You get all the pulp and everything. So let's go on to the next one. Okay, so while we're here in the cereal aisle, the main thing to know about cereal, you can get good cereal alternatives, but you really got to be careful about reading labels. If you're on a gluten-free diet, you can look for gluten-free on the label, but a lot of things that are gluten-free, they're still made from corn. So they don't use wheat. Probably 90% of them, they use corn. So they do have a lot of brown rice cereals, though. If you look closely, you can find brown rice cereals or puffed rice cereals, and those are kind of the better options. And then, of course, as far as milk, you could use unsweetened almond milk to put on it. So that's just kind of an alternative. That's what we do with Jalen for breakfast most of the time. All right, so sweeteners. There's like all kinds of different sweeteners available now, so we really gotta kind of know what to look for. Obviously, sugar you want to steer clear from as much as possible. If you're going to do sugar, something like sugar in the raw or organic turbinado sugar would definitely be the better alternatives. If the sweet and low, which is saccharin, you want to stay clear of that. Aspartame or equal, you want to stay away from that. Splenda or the name for Splenda that you got to look for on labels is sucralose. Okay, you want to stay clear of that. The funny thing about that is they call it sucralose. Okay, anything by name scientifically, anything that ends in OSE is supposed to be a sugar. But they named it sucralose. It's not a sugar, so really they're violating scientific rules in doing so because, of course science doesn't matter now. All that matters is marketing. So, Truvia, that's one of the ones I was going to go through. Truvia, basically, and I've actually looked at this online. I've researched it, tried to find anything wrong with it, and really there isn't. It's the main thing. It's let's see, does it have ingredients? Yes, right here, ingredients: erythritol, Rebiana, natural flavors. Okay, erythritol is a natural sugar. It's basically one of the sugar alcohols. Erythritol and xylitol are both sugar alcohols, and there's really nothing wrong with them. I mean that I found. The only issue is that you'll see sometimes people will have digestive issues if they consume a lot of it for some reason, so you just want to, that's got to be an individual issue. And then the other one, Rebiana is actually an extract of stevia, so it's fine. I mean, really, I haven't found any issue. It's kind of cool because I think Truvia is made by Coke or Pepsi. And so for the first time they've actually come out with something that's decent. Pure Via. This is basically the same thing. It says made from pure sweet stevia extract. On the side label, erythritol, isomaltulose, which it's OSE, which is a sugar, so it's got some kind of sugar in it, and then Rebiana, which is stevia extract. So, a little better, but still not as bad.
This is pure cane sugar and stevia.
Okay, so yeah, cane sugar. So, I mean, this is the sun crystals. You wouldn't be able to do this if you were on the advanced side because of the cane sugar.
Okay.
But, it does have stevia in it. So it would be, you would still want to do this over, let's say, turbinado sugar. But then again, it's not organic. So, you gotta have to look at all the rules.
Organic, but it's turbinado.
But it's actually sugar. So here's the thing. The best thing to do if you're going to do sweetener, just stick to stevia. Yeah. The New Naturals brand stevia is pretty much that's funny. I was actually talking into the coffee cup instead of the microphone. The stevia, the New Naturals brand is basically the best tasting one that we found. So I would kind of stick to that. We carry it at the office, actually. I don't know if they carry it at Virginia's or not. But we had to start carrying it because everybody was asking for it.
Do you have kind of liquid?
I don't, but I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. Yeah, as long as it's stevia, you're good.
but this would be a good one if you was on the.
It would be better than sugar, but I mean, I would still, but I would still stick to stevia, just regular, flat out stevia. Okay, so let's talk coffee and teas here quickly. There is, everybody always asks a question like, is coffee bad for you? And really, no, it's not. I mean, in fact, there's a lot of benefits to coffee. Caffeine, even, just regular caffeine, if it's a natural form of caffeine, it's, there's research that shows it actually cuts down your risk of skin cancer. So there are benefits to caffeine. Here's the problem. Anytime you make it unnatural, like when you take concentrated caffeine and stick it into a bottle of soda, of course it's not going to be good for you. Or when you're taking a no-dose, the pure caffeine capsules, that's not going to be good for you. But coffee, that just has natural caffeine in it is fine. An interesting fact about coffee is there's actually twice the different notes in coffee that there are in wine. That everybody is, connoisseurs of wine, they're like, there's over 200 different flavor notes in wine. There's over 400 in coffee. So, I mean, it's one of the most complex foods out there. There's just a lot of cool things to it, and it's good. So you can have that, and it's not a big issue. The main thing is, though, without creamer, just stick within the rules. Stick within the rules. And I used to use tons of that stuff, and I trained myself to drink it black. So
Caffeinated because they have natural to get it out.
Good question. Yes, decaf. If you buy most decafs, they actually use chemicals to pull it out, which are actually toxic chemicals to get it out. But there is a process. There is a process called Swiss water process decaf. Okay, Swiss water process decaf is perfectly fine. And it actually tastes much better than the regular decaf. Yeah.
I don't understand the difference between decaf and green tea. I always taste with this at the store. I make green tea.
Yeah.
But this one says naturally decaffeinated.
It's just a different kind of green tea. Okay. Green tea is not actually the kind of tea. It means when it's picked, mostly.
Not right.
Right. I mean, that's generally, it means they're picking it while it's still alive.
Naturally decaffeinated, but that's still
If it means naturally decaffeinated, it just means by nature it's not a variety of tea that has caffeine as a product in it.
We just give you a description. And just a little bit of sugar in it, but I didn't know any says decaf because we fry stuff. With caffeine. Sugar in it. So if we were to do stevia in that,
stevia would be fine. Yeah.
Would decaffeinated if it was naturally decaffeinated.
Yep. That would be perfectly fine. Yep. On the coffee note, if you're doing coffee, you definitely want to do organic because this is one of those side facts. Coffee is the most pesticide-laden crop of anything out there. They use more pesticide on coffee than anything because where do they grow it all? In tropical climates where bugs never die off during the winter. So there's bugs everywhere. So they use massive loads of pesticides.
So that Green Mountain, is that a good?
Green Mountain is, they have a lot of good stuff. Now, is all of it organic? No. So you want to try and stick to the organic stuff. Now, when you randomly get a cup of coffee from the store, and they're giving it out for free, I'd still do Green Mountain non-organic over Folgers, crystals. Coffee doesn't grow in crystals. So, that is an important note. A lot of people, they drink the Folgers and stuff because they say it tastes better. Why do they think it tastes better? Because of all the chemicals that they add to it. So it's got all kinds of stuff added into it. So you just want to kind of steer clear of that. Organic is always better when you're talking about coffee or tea. Okay, so pasta sauce. First and foremost, of course, all the rules apply with pasta that you would have with bread. So basically the same thing that you see with bread, you're going to evaluate it the same exact way when you're talking pasta. If you're on the advanced diet, you can't do pasta anyways, except for you can get brown rice pasta. That's really good. So anytime we do pasta, it's always brown rice pasta. As far as the sauces go, of course, the first thing you want to do is look for organic. Okay, just cut out all the other stuff. We don't even look at this whole section down here. We just go straight to the organic. So Bertolli organic, this would be one option. So you look at the Bertolli organic, okay? And it's got on the label organic tomato puree, organic diced tomatoes and juice, organic extra virgin olive oil, organic onions, organic sugar, so it adds sugar to it, so you want to try and find one that doesn't have sugar, sea salt, organic garlic, organic basil, organic black pepper, and organic oregano. Okay, so even with that, you still have to kind of look around and try and find ones that don't have sugar added to it. What you're going to find is that you're always better off making it fresh. If you can make it yourself, you're going to be much, much better off, because here's another side note. They pasteurize this, right? Okay, so when they pasteurize it, what is it doing to the olive oil in it? It's making it, it's turning it into trans fats too. So you have to kind of watch that. So that's kind of the gist of pasta sauce. Do your best with it. If you don't have time to make it yourself, at least go for the organic and find one that doesn't have sugar in it. Let's try the Meyer Glen organic. Tomatoes, onions, add sugar. So, you're going to find most of them add sugar. That's just, unfortunately, that's the case. Most of them add sugar. So, do they have Amy's? Oh, yeah. Did Amy's have sugar in it? Is that Amy's?
I can't see my glasses.
Evaporated cane juice. Okay? So, if you're going to go between evaporated cane juice and sugar, go with the evaporated cane juice. $8.15. In other words, make your own. Yeah, it's not that hard. Tomatoes, basil, oregano, a little bit of olive oil, stick it in a blender.
Just right here.
Pizza crust and tortillas, all the same rules as breads. It's all the same rules. That's a good thing. With crackers and all that kind of stuff, it's all the same rules. You just, a bread is a bread, basically. So you tend to find the same issues with all of them.
Or just make your own sauces.
Yeah.
Preservatives, but still organic tomatoes.
No, these, I don't think these have preservatives, and this is what we use here, the fire roasted diced tomatoes from Meyer Glen. These are awesome. And organic fire roasted tomatoes, tomato juice, sea salt, naturally derived citric acid, and calcium chloride. So there's nothing wrong with this. This is actually a good way to go. And it's actually much cheaper making your own out of the canned stuff than it is to buy the sauce. If you buy your own tomatoes, yeah.
What did you say?
If you buy canned tomatoes, it actually comes out cheaper than if you buy the sauces a lot of times. Exactly. And you can make it the way that you like it. Yeah. Okay, so the next section, the big things are with vegetables, canned vegetables, you always want to make sure that they're organic, but you also have to look on the labels and make sure that they don't add sugar to them. That with a lot of the vegetables, they're adding sugar to the cans. So those are kind of but you're always better, really buying fresh anyways, because there's a cool thing called, if you look it up online, it's called Kirlian photography. Okay? I think it's Kirlian. And what it is it's some kind of photography where they actually can take a picture and it gives you a bioelectric footprint. You actually see, if you take a picture of there's a couple different things that I've seen on there that's just, I mean, it's phenomenal. One, they take a piece of food that is not living, like a piece of bread or something like that, and then they take another picture of a piece of broccoli, like an organic piece of broccoli. And with the broccoli, you can see this vibrant color pattern all around it, but with the bread, it's like this spiky, like hardly anything there. And then they did another one, which was really, I thought was cool. I mean, it was a chiropractic study. They did a picture of a regular, just some person off the street's hand, and then they took a picture of chiropractors' hands, different chiropractors' hands, just natural healers, people that live their life using their hands to work with people, and you could see like 2 or 3 times the amount of readings pulling up around it. It basically just shows you we don't know squat about what's actually going on, like on the underlying levels. That your nerve system literally is working to a different level because that's what you do. You know what I mean? It's crazy. That's just kind of a side note. But the big thing, so like I said, you always want to buy live as much as possible. Kind of stay away from the can as much as you can. The next thing I wanted to make sure we talk about real quickly is soups. The bottom line with soups, it's going to be really hard to find any of them that do not have MSG. You can pretty much skip anything from Campbell's or Prego or any of those typical brands. They almost always have MSG in them. I mean, I'll just pick up a random can, cream of mushroom soup, and the label says water, mushroom, soybean oil, modified cornstarch, which is a form of MSG, wheat flour, contains less than 2% of salt, cream, whey powder, monosodium glutamate, and autolyzed yeast extract, both of which are MSG. So, it's just, you're going to be really hard pressed to find a good soup. Some of the brands like Pacific Foods and Wire Glen Organics and Amy's soups are actually pretty good. Yeah, Amy's is going to be a little, that typically that's going to be better. So if you're going to do soup, do something like that. Dextrose, that's a form of sugar. Anything ending in OSE is sugar. So we sometimes, I really like the Pacific brands, like that cashew carrot ginger is really good. So.
Okay, they say this is free range.
Free range chicken broth, okay. So you just want to go to the label and, it's got sea salt, vegetables, organic yeast extract. So that's funny. Yeast extract is actually another name for MSG, but hey, it's organic. No MSG. It's no monosodium glutamate, right? It has no monosodium glutamate. But what does yeast extract work exactly like? It's not MSG, but it still works exactly the same. So it's a way of, it's just another slick way of hiding it on the label.
One chicken broth to boil or
no, you can get right here, Pacific Foods. Yeah, Pacific Foods is this is a much better brand. Chicken broth, natural chicken flavor. Autolyzed yeast extract. Never mind.
It's not good.
Let me check this one. Organic free range. Okay, now that's interesting. Okay, so bingo, you got it. Yeah, the low sodium one, they have to add flavor. So organic chicken broth, organic chicken flavor, natural chicken stock.
He's trying to take it from him when he's not done.
Organic evaporated cane juice, organic onion powder, turmeric, and organic flavor.
So now which would be the better?
Which one would be the better? Definitely this one here, the low sodium skip. It's got yeast extract in it, which is MSG. Okay, so we're in the last aisle here, and this is going to be a big aisle. There's a couple of things that we need to cover. So the first thing is olive oil and all that. I mean, real simple. You want to look for organic. Make sure that you're getting organic. The cooking rule, make sure that you're not cooking with olive oil because it breaks down into trans fats if it starts to smoke at all. You want to use coconut oil if you're going to cook, but it really does good for salad dressing. And I want to cover this because we're right next to all the salad dressings. Even the natural brands, the ones that look like they're good, typically they're always going to have soybean oil or one of the other unnatural oils as the base form. And they're almost always going to have sugar in them. So here's what we do for salad dressing, and we've been doing this for probably 2 years now, nothing other than this. We take olive oil and we add in either like the Eden organic apple cider vinegar, or we add in red wine vinegar, or we add in white wine vinegar, or just one of the other types of vinegars we add into it at about 2/3 olive oil, 1/3 vinegars. Okay, so basically that's it. And we've been doing that for a couple years now, so that's by far the best way to do for dressings. Okay, so that's going to handle it. I mean, that's pretty much all you need to know about dressings. Okay. We're going to make the breads issue really quick. This isn't going to take very long on the breads. Just take a random loaf. I'm going to take Nature's Own brand. This is the Nature's brand 100% whole wheat. It says no artificial preservatives, colors or flavors, and no high fructose corn syrup. You look at the ingredients. It's got stone ground whole wheat flour, which hey, that's good. Water, but here it goes. Brown sugar, okay, wheat gluten, salt, vegetable oil. And basically besides that, those are the main things. But, if you're talking bread, it's got brown sugar and it's got vegetable oil in it. So, both of those things you don't need. But this is probably going to be one of the better ones.
That's the one we use, I guess, to take it.
Yeah, it's going to be better, definitely. The ones totally out, yeah. You just take one of those.
Totally out.
Yeah, bunny bread's probably going to be out. Yeah.
Are we taking away
Taking away everything I like.
Totally bad for you. Right across the way here we have mayonnaise. Basically, mayonnaise is not even... Now, here's where they get real slick. They've got the mayo with olive oil now. Okay, so you actually look at the label. Okay, so you actually look at the label on this. Okay, it's water, olive oil, canola oil, soybean oil. So it's like they put on the label, it's got olive oil in it, so it must be healthier than the other kinds. It's just a sales trick. They put a little bit of olive oil in it, but they still put all the other junk in it. Really with coconut spread, you can toast. Toast is really good. What's up? Walden Farms.
That's like basically for dieters. It's like empowered.
Let's see. Triple filtered water, cellulose fiber, cellulose gum, white vinegar, cornstarch, egg yolk, egg white, xanthan gum, beta carotene, egg flavor, mustard, lemon juice, food color, sucralose, right there. Sweetened with Splenda. Yes, right there, it would be out. Yep. Sweetened with Splenda. There you go. Okay, so where's the Splenda in it? Just look right near the end, sucralose. Sucralose is Splenda. Veganase, yeah. Veganase is, it's a little bit better. Here's a question: do we really need mayonnaise? Mayonnaise.
What did you say?
I said, do we really need mayonnaise? Yeah, I mean, it's just...
Chicken salad sandwiches or chicken salad.
If you're gonna do something like that, then get the veggies made with I can't even remember what kind it is. I think safflower oil or something like that. You just don't want to do the soybean oil stuff. They've got veggies that's made with soybean oil, and you don't want that. So, okay, and let's see, last ones. Barbecue sauce, peanut butter, I mean, all this stuff, all of the rules basically that we've already covered with everything else is going to apply to all of this. You know, it's just, you want to look for sugars, you want to look for the bad oils, you want to look for just good quality ingredients in most of it. With peanut butter, you know, the one trick I want to show you with peanut butter is the peanut oil is really the worst part of the peanut. You know, so what you can do is if you buy a thing of good peanut butter, of natural peanut butter, you're always going to see all the oil at the top like that, right? So the oil settles out. What you're going to do is you're going to pour the oil off and replace it with coconut oil or olive oil. Okay? So you just replace the peanut oil with a better oil, and then you can mix it all back together. Yeah, the oil keeps it from getting real stiff and chunky. Yeah, so you can just add in a healthy oil instead. Olive oil is good as long as you don't cook. As long as you don't cook it, yeah. Hydrogenated, bad, yes. We haven't talked about that. Oh my goodness. Hydrogenated just means basically your body cannot absorb it. Hydrogenated oils your body cannot absorb, period. Yeah, you're not going to be able to find a good one in Peter Pan brand, typically. Oh, boy, yeah. Here, couponing doesn't work so well when you're doing a healthy diet. But we do have coupon books at the office. We got a whole box of coupons that Jen ordered that we're going to be getting them. We're actually a drop-off location for them now. They're just free coupon books for all natural and organic products. So, yeah, we got a huge box full of them. And, I mean, they're just random products, you know, but they are all natural products. So, well, cool. We got done in under 2 hours, an hour and 40 minutes. So, I mean, if there's any other questions beside that, just email me and ask. I mean, I'll answer emails all day long. You know, just
not problem.
Yeah, just let me know what questions you still had that we didn't cover today, and we'll cover it. But, I mean, it's a learning curve. The Maximized Living Nutrition Plans book is a phenomenal resource. I mean, that thing is so well written. It's got the Maximized Living Nutrition Plans book, the one we've got it at the office. Oh, it's awesome. No, not that one. We'll be doing, actually, a total food makeover at some point. I don't know when. We don't have it scheduled yet, but we'll be doing another total food makeover where it's a 3-hour makeover just on the dietary and food rules. So a lot of the stuff that we covered today. So, cool stuff?
Yeah.
I hope you enjoyed the complete workshop for the month of May and got a lot of information out of this. It was a lot of fun doing the workshop and doing the shopping day with the patients that were there. And, my hope is just that you took a lot of information out of here. If you're listening to this online, know that we want to help you. We want to see you continue to grow. We want to see you continue to develop. If you are not a patient, we want to make that available to you. So if you mention this audio track when you come in, we're actually going to give you a special offer where you can come in for only $10. But we do have to know that you have listened to this audio workshop. So just mention this by name. At the usual fee would be $49 for a complete wellness evaluation, including X-rays and all. The only ones that are not eligible for the $10, unfortunately, is Medicare, Medicaid, and any federal insurance. It is a new national guideline that we cannot discount your care. So unfortunately, you're still going to be in that $49 bracket. But let me encourage you and ensure you, we're doing about $240 worth of testing on that first visit. So we set that fee at $49 for the complete evaluation, specifically to help you, to help the people that have Medicare and Medicaid. We went ahead and cut our losses with everybody else so that we could make it affordable for you guys. So we really hope to see you in. If you're not a patient, if you are a patient, I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope you just have grown because of it. And keep checking back this website regularly to make sure that you're not missing the audio workshops as they come out. Every month we have a new workshop that the discs are on the front desk. Make sure that you grab them when you're in the office for your appointments. So I just want to give you a final blessing, and just have a great day, a great weekend, and keep living the maximized life. This is Dr. Mike.